Hello and welcome to my channel Inspiring Life Changes. My name's Colette and I'm here today to do the reading for the super full moon that's taking place in Sagittarius on the 14th of June, and it's occurring at 12:52 in the afternoon, so that's PM in the UK. So thank you to those of you who've come across to find out what this is all about that haven't been here before. I am a tarot reader with over 30 years experience, and this is the tarot part of the two-part series that I do on the new and full moon energies. So this is the first part, and I will be putting the astrology part out later as well. So also welcome back to those of you who have been here before and know what this is all about and what it is that I do. Thank you for subscribing, thank you for liking my videos, and for any comments that you have left as well. Thank you very much. It is nice to get some interaction with people. So with all that being said, I am just waiting on the card that is appropriate, and so this is the card that we have got, which is Metatron. And I've just remembered that I didn't get the book out, so if you forgive me for 2 seconds, I will just dive over here and find it, which is typical because I reminded myself earlier that I needed it and then I forgot. So one of those things. Mercury is still retrograde, well direct now, but it's still in shadow, so still being affected by that foggy brainness. So we have Metatron, which is a pretty powerful energy for the angel script card today for this Sagittarius supermoon, which is going to be pretty powerful in itself. With a supermoon, the energy is always enhanced as the moon is closest to the earth at the time that it's taking place. So if the sky's clear, we should get to see a beautiful, very bright, very close up full moon energy. But here in the UK, that is often not the case, and we don't actually get to see the full moon. We might see it on the day prior. Like today, for instance, on the day that I'm doing this video, we might get to see the moon, but when it's actually full, we tend to have very cloudy skies. So Metatron is judgment. And he's saying the great Metatron sits on the throne of the Almighty, where we meet the day of judgment. The creative intelligence which fires the universe seeks that we give all our commitment, all our dedication to achieving the task which we have chosen for ourselves. When we come to judgment, we will be called to account for our actions. In the presence of judgment, we will be obliged to uncover every secret, and our book of life will be marked. Judgment is the place where we meet our karma, for Metatron is the great measurer who weighs our souls in the balance. There is no deed, good or bad or small or insignificant, that is not recorded in the universal. All our deeds make up the pattern of our destiny, and we carry them with us as we move forward in time. Often we are aware that we have choices to make which will seriously affect the fruit which we will reap in the future. Then we are careful to consider our actions. Much of the time, however, we live from moment to moment, unconsciously, not holding conscious awareness of our more day-to-day activities or habits. It is essential for our spiritual future that we become more conscious of the way in which we act and choose always the path of the wise, taking us as our guide the teachings of the great beings who have trodden the way before us. Then we will come to judgment with a clear conscience, certain that we can move forward unhindered by the past. So it sounds quite a kind of Saturn energy to me, which is interesting because Saturn at this time is making quite a strong T-square with both the karmic nodes of the moon as well. So the south node and the north node are both in that T-square energy with Saturn, Saturn being the focus of attention as well. So he is the planet of karmic consequences. Actions always have a consequence, even a non-action will have a consequence. So it's kind of reminding me of that kind of energy, the Metatron energy itself, which is a very powerful energy that is in play at this time that we are living through with this Saturn south node, the energy that we need to release and let go, and the north node, the energy of which we are moving towards. And it's going to be an ongoing playing out energy from now right through until 2024 as well. So, oh sorry, 2023. May even go into 2024, but I don't think it does. I think it's 2023. So it is going to be long lasting in that sense. And just before I start the reading, I would like to point out that we have the card of Sagittarius behind me, because that is the energy that we're dealing with, and on the card it says I see, but I prefer to see it as I seek rather than I see, because I think that Sagittarius is very much about seeking knowledge and wisdom and understanding and trying to get a greater knowledge of things. Then we have Jupiter, which is the ruler of Sagittarius, and that is all about abundance, joy, optimism, hope for the future, that kind of energy, very kind of good fortune energy. Jupiter does expand anything it touches as well, so depending on what connections Jupiter makes can also make a difference as well. And then we have the 9th house, which it says faith, but again I would prefer to see that as a truth or justice or freedom energy, because that's what Jupiter is all about. He is about that kind of searching for the truth, for justice and for freedom in particular. And lastly we have the fire element there, which is the element that is the ruler of Sagittarius itself. So in saying all of that, I'm going to start the reading itself off with this tarot card of the Ace of Swords in reverse. And what's interesting about this at this time is the fact that it is actually covered by the Knight of Cups. That is the challenge here. So the Ace of Swords in reverse is saying to me, it's often seen as being the card of Michael and the Sword of Truth as well. So there could be an element of that in this. But I also feel that it's got quite a big energy around logic versus the heart, is how I'm picking this up. Because the King of Cups is all about love. He's all about the ideal vision of love. Whereas the Ace of Swords energy is much more about the logical and the mind. And it is in reverse as well. Again, could be linked with the Mercury retrograde energy that we've been through. It could be something to do with cutting things out of our life that are no longer working for us. Things that are difficult to communicate with people. If we can't communicate with people, then we may need to let them go, move on to something new. But the big message that is coming through for me here is definitely logic, the mind, versus the heart, the love for ourselves as well as for others here as well. So we'll see what else comes out when I do the confirmation energy. So what's in our head and what we are aware of at this time is the Ten of Cups, which is interesting because the Ten of Cups and the Knight of Cups are very similar energies. The Ten of Cups came out upright as well, so we are all searching for that happy, perfect relationship, or that experience of feeling connected, home, family, happiness, having somebody in our life who we can turn to, somebody who can support us, who we know we can connect with deeply, who understands us. And there's also very interesting like lights behind that as well, which is kind of shining through. Behind that door as well, so that's interesting. There's something about like closing our door, or possibly even opening the door. But there's a kind of home energy here, a home energy, a kind of home family connection. And that's what's in our head. And I suppose for most of us, that is what we are seeking. We are seeking that happiness within the home, within the family. And being a 10, it's also the card of kind of reaching that point of success, but it is in our head. So again, this logical way of looking at things versus the heart and the happiness. So for most of us, it could be more of a kind of a wish or a dream, if you like, something that we think about, something that we are desiring, that we're kind of moving towards. But again, we'll see what comes out with the rest of the cards. We also have the Sun card here as the past energy. So this is about clarity, it's about insight, it's about things being brought into the light, an understanding, a way of connecting. I always see this as a kind of connecting dots energy as well, because it's all the planets that he's playing with here in a way. It's like, because the sun is the center, everything kind of revolves around the sun, so it's very kind of it's a powerful card. It's said to be the most kind of powerful, most beneficial card in the deck. It relates to the Leo energy, and it's very inspiring. I'm also seeing it as breaking through as well. Breaking through. Maybe possibly breaking through the dark into the light. Because this card can also talk about having like been in a room, for instance, where things are kind of dark and dim and you can't really see exactly what's around you and your environment, and all of a sudden as you're stumbling around in the dark you discover that there is light in the room, and all you have to do is kind of turn on the light switch or light the candle, or like however the light comes in, it kind of breaks through and kind of breaks through that darkness and gives that sense of illumination and being able to see things more clearly, clarity, insight. Again, we'll see what that's about, but that is the energy that is moving away from us at this time. And underneath in our deeper subconscious we have the Eight of Swords, and the Eight of Swords is a card of self-entrapment. What I particularly like about this card as well is the fact that she is trapped in a bubble. And a bubble is a very fragile form. It's something that can easily be burst. Which could also burst our bubble, burst our reality, burst what we thought was true about something. Again, we have the Ace of Swords in reverse, so this could also be truth that is not, like, deception, basically. Deception, rather than the truth, which would be in an upright position. This could well denote the idea of deception, lies, not being given all the information on something. And here we also have these swords pointing upwards. The ends are very kind of lit up there, and particularly with this deck, I do tend to see these as those, as the, I never know how to actually explain it, but those things that we've been kind of told that we have to have for the health crisis that we've all just been through in the last 2 years. So there could be aspects here of this being that bubble that is being burst. That things are being seen in a different way. Things are coming into the light. And people are starting to see things a lot clearer. The energy we have coming towards us is more swords. The Six of Swords here, and also the Four of Wands in reverse. So the Six of Swords is upright. The Six of Swords is about moving away from difficult situations into calmer waters, leaving the past behind. Again, we have these swords that very much for me depict that idea of the I want to say toxic I want to say toxic poison. We've got the 8 down here, and we've got the 6 as well, so it's kind of coming through to me like that. And there are masks there as well. These characters are, oh, this character is masked up, and there's also a mask on the boat there as well. So it's kind of saying that we're moving forward out of that situation, but it also feels as though there's a lot that is being left behind. With the Four of Wands in reverse as well, it's kind of saying to me that it's a false sense of stability and security. Four of Wands, when it's upright, would depict the idea of building something stable, something lasting, and the doors are opening behind. There is something about opening doors at the moment as well, because this is also coming through with this card here. Opening doors to the future. But not knowing what's behind the door. So we then have in our environment at this time the Strength card in reverse, and always when the Strength card is in reverse, it is energy of not being fully in our own strength being used against us. When it's upright, it is that energy of the balance between the masculine and the feminine, the taming of the beast. But when it's in this position, it's like the beast has more control, if you like. This could be seen as being like the beast system. having more control over our emotions, or emotionally manipulated as well. It could also be what this energy is about here, coming back to the Ace of Swords, emotional like manipulation of our emotions. Learning to trust our inner wisdom and knowledge and guidance, and listening to the heart. But at this time, this energy is being, it feels like used against us, like our own strength, our own understanding of things is being manipulated, controlled, restricted as well, because he's got this chain that goes right the way around the tiger there. So it feels like there's an imbalance. Something is out of balance within the psyche, within the kind of collective energy at this time. And this is also being shown here with this Seven of Swords energy as well, more swords energy. Seven of Swords is known as the thief in the night. It's an energy that takes away our, I want to say stability. It takes away our what am I getting here? Again, it feels like it takes away our own belief in something or logic in something. It's a card of deceit. It's a card of sabotage. It's a card of mistrust. It can be a warning energy as well. A warning about things that aren't as they appear. We've got the two swords hanging on the wall in the background there. And it's like he's carrying this 5 swords, but he wants to go back for the rest as well, which is interesting. It's like he kind of has noticed these 2 swords here and he's kind of taking a look at them. As if to say, you know, can I take all of it? Can I carry them as well? And leave this person like defenseless? Because that's what would happen. There would be no defense against something. And so again, this is coming through as an energy of dealing with the medical procedure is probably the best way for me to say it. And leaving us defenseless, or there is a sense of being defenseless. And I know in America at the moment as well, this is a big issue, defense, being able to defend yourself or being defenseless against things. So this is also a warning card as well. And in our hopes and our fears, we have that Devil card, which we've had quite a few times, but he hasn't turned up recently, but he's back. And again, it's that energy of kind of self-entrapment. It's very similar for me to this energy with this 8 here as well. Only here, this is kind of of fire, which is much more consuming, whereas this is fragile and like it can be burst, that bubble can be burst. Here it's kind of, the fire is much more consuming of our how can you put it, of our attention. It kind of consumes, it's all consuming is what I'm getting. There's kind of this sense of like, you know, being stuck in this cage, not being able to get out, being trapped, being overcome and already kind of defeated again. There's a similar energy here with these two cards. This sense of being defeated, this devil already having achieved what it wants to achieve, which is basically to trap us in our cages, our gilded cages, because this cage is very gilded. And a gilded cage is something that is supposedly something that's like beautiful, it's I've got the word ruse coming into my head. I don't know where that comes from, but ruse, it's a ruse. It's like it's not real. It's like giving up freedom to put ourselves into this gilded cage. It's like, is that what we are going to allow ourselves to do, is what's coming through here. And you can see the pentagram in there as well. And the devil energy itself, for me, depicts this kind of elite governance. The devil card is also the Saturn card. It's also the Capricorn energy as well. The patriarchal energy. So that's in our hopes and our fears, because there is also the fact that the cage is open and it's only, again, ourselves that are keeping us trapped in there. We can walk away at any time. But it's going to take strength. It's going to take inner strength. And at this time we don't have that, because we've been kind of beaten down and battered and into submission is what's coming through for me here. Battered into submission. But we do have as the outcome the Two of Coins. And again, like standing in front of this, again, this kind of gilded cage. But he's out of it now. He's no longer within the gilded cage. So there's a sense of freedom, new direction, a new pathway, because he's kind of standing on the edge there. You can see this path that's leading. I'm not sure if it's leading towards or leading away from. But there's also a sense of, like with the sun energy as well, like the sun being behind that gilded ball or cage or whatever, however you prefer to see it. And his whole outline is lit up as well. So there's something about this like sense of freedom, sense of new direction, purpose, understanding. It's coins, so it's to do with the physical realm, the physical world. It also looks like a sunrise as well to me, in fact. Like the sun is rising up on something new, like a new day dawning. But also options. The Two of Coins also talks about options and also moving away from the past and into the future, and what it is that we're going to take with us and what it is that we're going to leave behind us is what these two coins depict for me, the past and the future. But there is balance here as well, which is interesting. And it kind of feels like after going through all this trauma and all this turmoil that we are going to, in many ways, it's because of this that we're going to find that new sense of purpose and new sense of direction. So let's see what the confirmation cards want to say to us here. So I doused my cards earlier to see which ones were the best ones to use for this reading. And I got these cards, which I haven't used for a long time. But they are an interesting deck. And all the cards will be in the description box down below for you if you're interested in finding out more about them. Also, there will be a link to a astrology site, so that you, if you're interested in finding out more about your own astrology, there will be a link in the description box down below for you to do that as well. So we have the Ten of Swords here. And the Ten of Swords here is talking about ruin. So we've gone from the Ace, which is the upside down card, to the Ten of Swords. Which is talking about that's interesting actually, because again I'm seeing it as the medical procedure, but all of those, if you look at the bottom of the card down here, it's like the ends of them have fallen off, like they've been broken somehow. And the 10 is always, all 10s are always an ending and the start of something new. The Ten of Swords can talk about hardships, sorrows, heartbreak, betrayal. Often it depicts somebody who's been stabbed in the back. And although there isn't actually a person in this card, it's interesting because there is still blood coming out of those swords, which are dug into the earth, dug into the ground here. But we still have this Knight of Cups in between as well. So again, it's saying to me that it is about the heart. The mind versus the heart. And I think we've had this quite recently as well. This idea of the mind versus the heart. The logic. Versus the emotions. And how is it we come to a decision on things. Do we just go and trust the logic of something, or do we listen to the emotional side of things and the heart connection? But the 10, as I was saying, does depict some final ending here, something coming to a close. But it also looks like a barrier as well. If you look there, it looks like a barrier, it looks like a wall. So this could also be to do with closing off or guarding our emotions or shutting down our emotions. It could be overwhelming emotions as well. So let's see what we have. In our head at this time, we have the Daughter of Cups, the Princess of Cups, which is Bridget of Ireland in this deck. Again, cups, emotions. I would say that in our head, and what we are wanting is that happiness, and discovering where our emotions lead us, where our heart will take us. Because it feels as though something has disrupted that kind of energy. For a long time. In fact, this is very coming through as kind of very strong female energy, who again, it kind of bringing that message. It's the same energy as this. Bringing the message of love, the message of companionship, connection, tribe, community, working together, working with the earth, working with the heart. Being the heart of the something there. There's this cave, and it kind of looks like this womb energy as well, which was what a cave would have been. It was a very kind of insular womb. It was like trying to recreate that womb energy, the safety, security of being within the womb, within the Mother Earth herself, and the mothering energy. The children, the family. And there's something very ancient about all of this as well. And dare I say it, the fact that women are the womb of humanity. It's the women who bring through the next generations, the family. It's the women who channel the next being through into the physical realm. But there's also something here about there used to be at one time a lot more community involved in family, like tribe again is what I'm getting here. Tribe energy, tribal energy, returning to the kind of tribal community. Moving away from the insular family energy is what I'm getting here. Which has been a part of the control system for a long time. Alienating, insulating just within the four walls of our own kind of house or domain, or and not extending. But there's a growing awareness, it feels, as well, where people are realizing that we all come from the same source. We all come from the mother, regardless of what others may try to tell us. Others being those who believe that they can control. And we have the Mother of Wands in the East, which is the Queen of Wands, and in reverse, and we have Kali. We have very interesting energy again, more feminine energy. Kali is the energy of both life and death. It is the ultimate power in that sense, to be able to bring both life and death. And it also says as well in many ways that it is one and the same thing. Kali is a very sexual energy, very powerful, confident energy, but it's in reverse. And I suppose in many ways that does kind of make sense, because that is something that has been kind of being, it's very Pluto energy is also what I want to say about this. And Pluto, of course, is the lord of death, rebirth. And we've had a lot of Pluto energy around at this time as well. A lot of Pluto energy. So the Queen of Wands, as this card would be, is very much that kind of Sagittarian energy in many ways as well. The fire energy, the Wands energy. But it's also an energy that is feared a lot as well by those in the West that don't understand So in many ways we have like the masculine and the feminine energies here as well, with the Sun and Kali. So this could be seen as the patriarchal and the matriarchal energy that has been dominant for a long time now over the female creative energy, because this is the creative energy. And the Sun energy also talks about being creative, but can only create outwardly. The Sun, the masculine energy, does not have the same ability as the feminine energy to create inwardly. So the Sun has to, or the masculine has to create outwardly, which is why it's become so much more dominant. In our society and the way that we do things. It's very action oriented energy, whereas the Kali energy or the female energy is much more receptive. So again, there's this sense of imbalance because it's in reverse. And for me, it's also talking about the imbalance of the masculine and the feminine energies. And also the whole kind of gender fluid issue as well. Which also goes back to the Ace of Swords energy here as well. Because the Ace of Swords is the, as I was saying earlier, the Ace of Swords is that energy of like deception and lies. There's something quite similar with those cards as well here, with the shape of them. Deception and lies, things that we've been led to believe as being true that are not necessarily true. Or our understanding of things. It's like something has to come to an end here as well. Like mentally, logically, we have to end something in order to be able to connect back to the heart. I'm sure a card flipped over, it did. Okay, so we have the Daughter of Swords in the south, the Princess of Swords, Isis in reverse, over the top of the Seven of Swords energy here as well. So again, it's coming through because this is the Knight of Swords, and again, if it's in reverse, it's talking about things that are not being spoken, things that are not being revealed, things that are not being, and it's like it's in our subconscious, so it's like we understand on some level that we're not being given all the information that we need in order to be able to make decisions with all the knowledge. Because if we had more understanding and more knowledge on something, we may make a different decision. So this is also talking to me about being censored, about information being censored and blocked. And because that's happening, we're having to listen to our heart and our intuition and our self, our own knowing. And that's what's in the subconscious. And when something is in the subconscious, it's like it's buried in the intuitive energy. So it is about digging down into the subconscious too. It's like we feel it, we know it. We don't know necessarily why we know it or how we know it, but we do know it. It's like a gut feeling on something. So I would say that there's this gut feeling that is growing about something not being right when it comes to misinformation, what we're not being told. And also the bubble here as well can also represent the fragility of life itself. And I also want to say that this card here can also represent this idea of being defenseless, like on an emotional level or on a health level as well, because the mind also controls our emotions. Again, the mind controlling the emotions, which could also be this energy here as well. And so if we're not emotionally, if our minds aren't calm, and we're living in a state of perpetual worry, doubt, fear, then that's going to bring our defences down. Whether that's our physical bodily defences or our defences against information that we're being told is true. And we also have the Three of Cups in reverse. Which in this deck is called overflowing. But again, when it's in reverse, it's like going in the opposite direction, like something is flowing away from us rather than towards us. And we have these three cards together here. The Six of Swords being that energy of moving away from something. And also with this gate here as well, I always see these kind of gate things as a past, like behind us, whatever's behind us, leaving it in the past and moving into the future. But with this Four of Wands as well, which is like another arch there as well, but it is, as I was saying earlier, in reverse, so therefore it is lack of stability, lack of foundation, lack of roots, lack of, again, feels like wisdom and knowledge. And with this Three of Cups over the top, it does feel like flowing, something flowing in the wrong direction, or we are going in the wrong direction. is also how that's coming through. Three of Cups can be an energy of well, often it's seen as a card of celebration. And it's a celebration after initial attraction, usually with another person. But also, there's a sense here of just that. Yeah, that lack of going in the right direction. And what I'm getting is this sense of, with this Three of Cups, it's like sense of something like difficulties. It feels more like a sense of loss rather than abundance or overflowing. Because our cups aren't being filled up here. Because they're upside down. They can't be filled up. Oh, that's really how I feel about that card. And the cups, of course, represents the heart energy as well. The vessel. We being the vessel that we need to fill up in order for nourishment, nurturing, emotional well-being. This feels very much like an opposite energy to all of that. And over the top of the Strength card, we have, very interestingly, also in reverse, the Alchemy card. The Alchemy card being the card better known as Temperance. And again, is a very similar energy here. If you look in this card, I'll hold it upright first of all. If you look in that card, you can see two energies there. One's, in fact, there's quite a lot of interesting stuff in this card. There is the energy of the, like the devil energy here as well. And also, so it's like two sides of ourselves, really. And down here, it's very much to do with balance. The whole thing is all about the balance. It's all about, again, this masculine and feminine energy more than anything else is what's coming through for me here. With the sun and the moon connecting, the masculine and the feminine connecting here. But there's also a very strong similarity again with this energy here, out of balance. This is what I was saying earlier about this card being out of balance, about our own strength being used against us because of the lack of, I want to say lack of wisdom and knowledge about who we are. Our acceptance also of the masculine and the feminine within ourselves. Like we always look outside and see the external image and think that that person is naturally that energy. We don't see them as being both energies in one form. And that's what's been kind of denied us for so long, because everything has been about separation for so long. The alchemy card talks about bringing things together and to recognize that there is duality in everything, because without duality there is nothing. One cannot exist without the other. You can't have happiness without sadness. You can't have day without night. And that's kind of what I'm getting from this card here, is that we need to bring things back into balance within ourselves, and that will also balance up the kind of external energies around us as well. And to recognize that everything is balance. And our alchemy is the mixing of things. It's the chemical connection or the chemical reaction between two different things, or possibly even more. But in this, it's kind of talking about that masculine and feminine coming together. And when they come together, they create new life. And it is actually the Sagittarius card here as well that we're dealing with. If you see that symbol down there, that is the symbol for Sagittarius. Oops, put them both up the reverse way, because that's how they both came out. And I've just noticed how that is actually depicting day and night there in some ways as well. As the card is split down the middle, like diagonally, it is showing two sides. There's an actual, where are we? Can't see it now. Oh yeah, from this corner down here to this corner, it's like two halves. The day and the night, which I didn't actually notice previously. There's also a cup in that card as well, and again it's in reverse, so again it's empty. And it's kind of saying on some level, you know, which side are we feeding here? So we have over the top of the swords, in our environment, not our environment, sorry, in our kind of energy of the collective, how the collective views everything at this time, or views each other. The hidden understanding. We have the Emperor, and the Emperor is upright. So this is an energy of standing in our power. Remembering, like historically, there's something about historical like memory, or like DNA. something about the DNA, the historical journey of where we've come from and where we're at now. Like this is us in our raw, like energy, communing with nature, living with nature is also what I'm getting here. Living with nature, recognizing that we are nature. There is no separation, as I was saying earlier. Everything likes to, like, society likes to separate everything and doesn't understand the connection between everything. It's interesting because there's this kind of diamond shape above his head as well. But this tree is really calling to me. It's the tree behind the emperor himself that is, again, really fascinating, because it's got two parts to the tree as well, where it's growing up. And again, it's coming through like with this duality. Even these two swords hanging on the wall behind him there. He's got those 5 swords in his possession, but those 2 swords are still there. But there's something to do here also with the, like, nature, our connection with nature, and how if it wasn't for nature we would not be here now. We are part of nature, and that's an interesting thing about the Sagittarius energy as well, because Sagittarius is half man and half beast. Again, that division, that duality, half man, half beast, or half horse. And for me, I think that that kind of depicts that natural side of our own nature, if you like. It is like that we are still nature, we are still animal. As much as we are human, there is still a part of ourselves that is still very animal. And I think that that's the Sagittarius energy, is that's what it kind of depicts, is that even though we are human, we still come from an animalistic kind of background. And in order to become more than that, we've had to seek out knowledge in order to expand and to grow. And that knowledge has come from nature. That is what I'm getting from this. And that anything else is deception. Does feel as though there's a lot more that I could say about that card, but I think I need to move on as the time is getting on. So let's see what the Devil card in our hopes and fears wants to say to us. On some level as well, I'm getting this kind of tree of knowledge, tree of wisdom that he's standing in front of, tree of life, which could also take us right back to the kind of story of Adam and Eve as well, the emperor being Eve, the original Adam, the original emperor, the original man. And then we have over the top of our devil, we have the Two of Cups, which is very beautiful. And it is literally love. That's what it says on that card. So it kind of speaks for itself in many ways. This is our fear. I mean, it's in our hopes and our fears, literally. So this is our fear of being caught, trapped, ensnared, but also of allowing ourselves to allow that, kind of giving permission for that to happen to us. So they often say that try that again, Colette. Okay, so what I'm getting here is that they often say that there is only two real energies. One is fear, the other is love. And that we choose at any moment in time which one we are going to be in. So if we choose fear, then we're going to stay trapped. We're going to stay in that powerless position, allowing others to have control. And if we choose love, and that is a bird in the background there, then there is this freedom. All I'm getting is that, like, we can fly. We can fly, literally. Like, love will allow us to fly. To leave the gilded cage. To fly away. By choosing the energy of love in any given moment. And then, of course, we will attract either one into our life, depending on which one we are most focused on. One is empowerment, and one is disempowerment. One will bring us happiness, joy, all that good stuff that's in our head and what we are aware of, what we're seeking, what we are wanting, the ultimate freedom. Through connection, not separation. And the other will bring sorrow and separation. Isolation. Okay, so what do we have as our final card? That's very interesting because we have the Ten of Cups again, but it's in reverse. So that's twice the Ten of Cups has come out here. But this one's in reverse. So again, this kind of sense of success is the wording on this card. I'm just going to turn it up right and have a look. It's interesting because there is nothing flowing from those cups. So what I'm getting here, yeah, there's just nothing flowing. There's nothing in the cups. They look empty. So with the 2 of coins and the 10 of cups together here, what I'm getting is that we're talking about past and future energy with this 2 of coins and what it is that we're going to take forward with us. And the 10 of cups, the 10 is always an energy of endings. It's always an energy of releasing, letting things go. And at the full moon, that is also a time for releasing. It's culminating energy. It's saying that this is time to let go and release what has not brought us happiness or success. Or maybe we need to take another look at how we define success and happiness at this time. Because these cups are all empty. They're all empty. So there's something here which is saying we need to let it go. And it's interesting because astrologically Venus, planet of love, is conjunct the North Node, opposing the South Node, and she's also conjunct Uranus and square to Saturn as well. So that kind of sums it up for me in many ways, because it's saying, like, let go of that past energy, the South Node, let it go. Let go of what you believe has been, you know, what success is about. And happiness. How do we define it? And with the North Node conjunct, it's like it's a new time. It's a time to start something from a fresh way of looking at things. Venus, love, value. What do we value? Why do we value it? Again, what is success? And square to Saturn as well, it's kind of hardship. Which is, again, it's coming through with this energy here as well. This is the Saturn card. But it also feels like something has to change, something has to end, because Venus is also conjunct Uranus, and Uranus is the planet of change. And this, to me, is the future that we're dealing with here. It's like moving out of the past, letting that go, moving into the future. What are we going to take with us? What is going to balance up? Not this, because this is past. This is no longer working for us the way that it has worked in the past. And I've spoken about that before as well. When Venus went through her very long transit, retrograde, in the sign of Capricorn. There's something about it It was connected to the Mars energy as well. So again, that duality of the masculine and the feminine. But there's also something about it being much more like an independent energy. And I'm not quite sure what it is yet. But it's almost like Venus has got this idea, this new independence when it comes to relationships and love. More to do with freedom, it feels. Like there's a sense or a need for freedom within the relationships themselves, rather than how they have been previously. Sense of more freedom within the relationship, trust, truth, honesty. So let's see what the Divine Feminine would like to say at this time. The Divine Feminine Oracle. A card for the Divine Feminine Oracle at this time, please, source. Divine Feminine Oracle. Card for the 20, I don't know why I'm saying the 20, for the 14th of June. Earlier on, when I was shuffling the cards previously, I kept saying the 14th of December because that's like Sagittarius' month and it's my sister's birthday, 14th of December. So for some reason that just kept coming into my head. So I'm going to have a look at that and see why that's so important. Okay, so we have Lalita, the Red Goddess. And she's talking about playfulness is a spiritual power. Laughter leads me back to the light. Playful. Maybe that's something that needs to be brought into relationships a lot more. Playfulness. Oh, she's got a bow as well, I've just noticed. She's actually got a bow and arrow. So that is very Sagittarian energy. Okay, so where are we? Lalita. Page 88. So Lalita represents the spontaneity that graces a heavy moment and reminds us that joy is a powerful spiritual practice. Lalita Tripura Sundari is a Hindu deity known as the Red Goddess because of her connection to desire, which is interesting because that's the fire element as well. The word on the card behind me for the fire element is desire, and it is a very fire energy, desire, passion. She is often depicted sitting on a lotus with 16 petals, known as the fulfiller of all desires. She is holding a golden bow that represents the mind and 5 golden arrows that represent the 5 senses. And the ancient devotional text dedicated to her, the Lalita Sahasranama, I'm going to try and say that again, Lalita Sahasranamam, is a list of her 1000 names that fulfills all of the desires of a devotee simply through its recitation. I'm sorry about butchering that. It's not an easy word to say. So one of Lalita's many names is she who plays. The Sanskrit word lila means divine play. Lalita loves when her devotees are able to move beyond dualities to the point where we are not separate from what we desire. She loves puja or ritual worship for this reason, because it moves us from out of our ideas and thoughts of the divine and into our hearts, where we can experience the divine directly. Lalita is known for her spontaneity and for liberating her devotees with joy. She's the consciousness that comes when we get so caught up in taking ourselves seriously that we forget the profound, simple pleasures like sunlight on our face or the taste of a ripe strawberry. She's the delicious moment when we remember that we don't have to take everything, especially ourselves, so seriously. We don't have to be perfect or know the right words, mudras or yoga poses, or chant for hours on end. What's divine is inherent in us. It's remembered, not learned. That's kind of what I feel about this card here, which I was talking about earlier. About the DNA, something encoded, imprinted deep in the DNA. So when your soul selects her card, answers arrive from disengaging with the energy that created the problem or question to begin with. We so often hold tight to what we desire with a grip that actually inhibits it from arriving, and we often take the soul by the collar and demand to know an answer right now. But when a desire is in an imperative, there's an inability to be playful, imaginative and childlike with how and when that desire will arrive. The secret to desire is holding it lightly. The secret that the Red Goddess knows is that we already have everything we desire. So we can trust that what the soul craves is and always has been ours. This is the levity that sparks a shift, a change, an expansion that is the moment that we remember we are not separate from what we desire or from the divine. Lalita is that brilliant moment in a fight between lovers or friends when suddenly someone mispronounces a word and both crack up laughing. She's the levity that comes when we loosen our death-like grip on what we think we desire. She's the gorgeous, much-needed reminder that we don't have to suffer our way to what we want most. That could also be what this is about as well. And 10 of Cups. And also the 10 of Swords here. The path to what we desire and to becoming the soul we need to be in order to receive it can be paved with joy, with divine play, and with the sacred process of lighting up all along the way. And the soul voice meditation for this card is, how can I add more playfulness to my life right now? And the intention is, playfulness is a spiritual power. Laughter leads me back to the light. That's a very beautiful, very Sagittarian kind of energy, in fact, because Sagittarius is very playful in itself. I'm just going to put that over there. And I'm going to pull one more card for this reading. Again, all the cards will be in the description box down below for anybody who's interested. I just want to say thank you again to anybody who has come over and listened to my video. If you have learnt anything from it, or if you've enjoyed listening to what I have to say, and the messages that I'm giving, then could you please thumbs it up for me, because that does help to grow my channel. It just gives the platform information that people are taking notice of what I am putting out there, which is really what it needs to know in order to help grow the channel. And also there will be that little bell if you press the subscribe button as well. If you want to subscribe to my channel, please do. I would love to have you here. And so that little bell will turn up and you can get my messages as and when I put them out. At the moment I'm only doing the full moon, the new moon energies, both the tarot and the astrology. I will be putting the astrology out after this as well, my own intuitive interpretation. So here we have application, and it's saying, today I apply all that I have learned during my spiritual quest. I practice love in my daily life. I allow my inner light to lift my thoughts. As I do so, the laws of universal love take root in my life. Which is pretty similar to what the red goddess Lolita was saying, in the sense of the law of attraction, really, was what she was talking about, and how, again, what we focus our attention on is what we draw towards us, or what we experience in our lives. But a lot of that can also depend on how we believe about ourselves as well. So with that being said, I'm going to finish this reading here. Again, say thank you very much to those of you who've come across to listen and watch it. And again, thank you to those of you who have subscribed to my channel. Thank you to those of you who have liked my videos, and those of you who have commented. I don't necessarily get to know when people are commenting on my video for some strange reason. And also I've recently found out as well that you can't actually find my channel if you put it into YouTube. It doesn't actually come out. So I'm not sure if that's a problem my end or a problem their end, but it's something that I'm going to have to look into at some point. So thank you very much. Also, if you feel so inclined, could you share this video as well and help to get the message out there? I think it's quite important for the times that we're in at this moment, and also for people to just know that there is another perspective out there as well. So thank you again. Please take really good care of yourselves, and do enjoy this incredible super full moon energy that we're going to experience on the 14th. It is going to be pretty intense again, and I'll see you in the next video. Good luck and take care.